Your B2B Marketing Pint is the podcast for B2B technology marketers who want to sharpen their competitive edge. Joined by other marketing veterans, your hosts Brian O'Grady and Brendan Ziolo share expertise on what works today and why. Grab a cold pint of hot takes on branding, content marketing, demand generation, and more, served with a side of sarcasm.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to this episode of the B2B Marketing Pint. You might notice a couple differences. One, Brian and I are actually together in the same room, which is awesome. So we're giving this a go. Let us know what you think. And we're in a pub, which we built for the podcast.
Just for this episode.
Just for this episode? You mean we have to give it back?
Well, if this episode takes off, we'll keep the pub.
Okay. Because I put a lot of work into this.
It's true.
We're together, but our guest today is not. He is far away, actually, but very glad that he was able to join us. Brian, why don't you tell us who's with us today?
I would love to. I'd love to introduce everybody to Mr. Santosh Kumar, coming to us live from Bangalore. And Santosh and I, we go back a few years, Mr. Kumar. I can't remember what the first one was, but back when I was with IBM and Santosh, your original stint with IBM, we got to play together and work hard together in Bangalore a number of times and enjoyed it thoroughly. But for the sake of our listeners, I'm going to introduce you by saying Mr. Kumar here is a seasoned, doesn't mean old, just means experienced, a seasoned demand generation leader. You've spent your career helping global companies from high-growth startups to Fortune 50s, and you've helped them find, engage, and convert customers all over the world, across borders, and that's part of what we're going to be talking about today, across time zones, across different buying cultures and agendas. Right now, I've heard through the grapevine that you're leading IBM's ecosystem for partners across APAC, across the Asia-Pacific region. Let me try that again. Asia-Pacific region. That came out
It's
better.
early.
It's really early. That's one of our challenges today. We're going to get to that too. And Santosh, you've built and scaled demand functions all over the place, India, Singapore, Seoul, and a lot of other places. Led integrated programs across digital, partner channels, field marketing, inside sales, analyst relations, and even brand. And so we believe, and that's why we invited you here, that you bring a hard-won perspective on what it takes to drive growth at scale and how to unify global go-to-market teams with one vision. So that's who Santosh is. Did I get anything wrong, Santosh? You want to correct the record?
No, I think perfectly fine. It's good to speak to you again, Brian. And it's not years, it's decades, I think, that we know each other. And any friend of Brian is a friend of mine. Brendan, good to meet you. Thank you so much for having me here. I'm excited to do this with you guys.
Yeah,
awesome.
And now I know why it took us so long to get Santosh on. Like, that's an impressive background, and no wonder he's a hard man to pin down.
It's true.
I'm exhausted listening to his background.
It's true. He's a hardworking man. Santosh, I have another important question for you today, which is key to what we do here on B2B Marketing Pint. What are you drinking today?
Well, it's Friday evening here in beautiful Bangalore, and I am drinking a hot cup of coffee in my IBM branded mug. I basically reserve all my day drinking to Monday mornings because that's when I need it the most, like a few tequila shots here and there, and then I get right to work, right? But this Friday evening is just black coffee for me. What are you guys
Fair
drinking?
enough. Well, thank you for asking. I'm going to plug, we're in Ottawa for this podcast. I'm going to plug a local coffee shop by the name of Bridgehead, local success story. And we're not drinking beer today because the time zone means it's very early for us. It's kind of late for you. You are drinking coffee late. God bless you. But I'm having Bridgehead. What do you got, Brendan?
I'm going to try and match Kumar or Santosh, and I'm using a Zinc Marketing mug. Of course. So I see your IBM mug and raise you a Zinc Marketing mug. And I'm drinking. I don't know what this coffee is. It's just what's here at the head office where we're also.
I think we've got a better chance of Bridgehead sponsoring us than either IBM or Zinc.
Am I not already sponsoring this?
I don't think so.
Okay. All right. Well, let's get started. Enough of this banter and back and forth and preamble, because we have Santosh and we want to pick his brain for the next 20 or 30 minutes. So Brian set it up nicely with your background and global perspective. So I'm going to start with an easy question. They get harder, trust me. In your mind, Santosh, what's the secret sauce for demand gen that works across borders?
Is this the easy question?
Yeah. They only get harder from here.
Okay, okay, cool. So, I think if I were to make a movie reference, for example, I would make a reference to Kung Fu Panda, which says there is no secret ingredient, right? So that's the fun answer. But if I were to really think through, I think the secret sauce is basically getting your basics right as a marketing unit and also as an organization, right? Because many a times we are caught navel gazing and we think our product is the best fit for the market, and we are thinking product out and not really customer, thinking about the customer and looking at it from their POV, right? For example, you spoke of a bunch of countries when you're introducing me. uh, a tech buyer in Indonesia is looking to solve a very different problem with the same product compared to someone in the United States, right? So if you go with the same approach that you have in the US and come and try it in Indonesia, for example, there's no way that you're going to make the sale, right? So there's no point in even trying an approach that works in one country and assume that it works in another country, right? So that's first, start with the customer. I think the second one is you need to also be cognizant and understand that buying patterns are different in different cultures. For example, if I were to speak about Taiwan and Vietnam, for example, I'm giving a lot of different names for your audience, so hope that's okay. So Taiwan and Vietnam, for example, most of the tech buying happens based on relationships and perceived trust with the person that they're engaging with, right? So they want whatever you're selling and whatever you're saying and promising to the end customer, you're going to follow this through, and it's almost like a pact. So if that is the buying pattern of this particular market and you're coming with a very different approach, that's not going to fly as well. And the third point, maybe it's something that all of us are very familiar with: localization. I think localization plays a very, very important role, not just from a content perspective, your case studies and your assets and your white papers, whatnot, but even references. So if you're giving a reference, again, of an American customer who has bought and used this product, but the context in which this person is buying it is very, very different, there's no way that that client reference will even act as a testimonial or make sense to this particular customer. So you really need to figure out localization. It's not just about content and creatives and whatever messaging, it could also be around engagement types as well, right? So some people might like a round table sort of a setting where they're looking at what their peers are doing, hearing another CEO or CIO out saying that this was a challenge I had and this is how I solved it, as opposed to just attending a third party event or a large conference and listening to a keynote and they're making up their mind right there, right? And I think one of the things that we do a lot of is do a lot of discovery workshop one on one. If it's a large client and there's a large deal that we're trying to crack, I think discovery workshops and one to one engagements really make a huge difference. So I would say, just to summarize all the ranting that I've done all this while, I think you need to get your basics right and try to get more hits on the board than misses. I think that would probably try and nudge your pipeline and win revenue in the right direction, as opposed to just trying some strategies for the heck of it.
Cool. But I love that. There's a lot to unpack in all of that. My favorite bit was early on, you said it's easy to get caught navel gazing. And I love that expression because I've been part of that mistake at various places and times where you might fall in love with your own messaging and be completely convinced that everything you're saying to the market is totally right. And maybe you lost the plot. Maybe the market moved on and your messaging isn't appropriate anymore. So I love that point. That's a really good point. I've got a follow up to that. And it tries to bring in your experience, Santosh. Both, I know you worked at some startups. You were at IBM when we worked together. You did some startups as well, and now you're back at IBM, leading the Asia Pacific group. So my question is, if you've done both startups and you've worked at Fortune 50s, those are not the same places to work whatsoever, but you have the same task, or you did before partners. You did a lot of demand gen. What's the big difference between trying to do demand gen at a scale up or a startup versus a Fortune 50? How do you have to change your mindset? What are your different tactics? Or is it just another version of the same game? What do you think?
Yeah, I think Brendan was right when he said the questions are getting more and more complex as we go through the
just
conversation.
wait for the last one.
So, see, I've been really fortunate to work in both worlds. I think both the worlds are very, very different from each other, right? Like you rightly pointed out. And one thing that I was looking for when I joined the few startups that I worked at was having the authority to call your own shots. And I think with authority there comes a lot of accountability as well. That's what I was not prepared for, right? So I like the authority, I like doing things on my own, I like calling the shots, but it also comes with a lot of accountability. For example, there was this one time where we had to launch a website in a startup, and at the right time, or maybe I should say wrong time, our content marketer left the organization. So and it was the end of the year. There was no way they were going to approve any marketing budgets, and I basically had to sit and write the entire website content myself because the content marketer is not there, right? So I think when it comes to startups, the resources are a little thin, which is where I feel when you look at a larger enterprise, for example, the resources are there, and maybe startups could actually pick a few tricks from how an enterprise does it. And obviously you really need to be mindful of the budget, and we know for a fact startups have a shoestring marketing budget. That's where agencies like yours comes into picture. So they need to build this agency ecosystem where a lot of the heavy lifting or a lot of the groundwork is done by someone else, and you're basically focusing on the strategic direction that your organization has to take. So I think when it comes to large enterprises, they can definitely learn agility and moving fast and being more tuned into what the market is really demanding from your product line. I think that's something that the large enterprises can pick up from the startups. But on the flip side, I think what startups can pick up from large enterprises is strategic thinking. I think you need to think a little more long term and not just have a knee jerk reaction to whatever the market does, and keep changing your product line and keep changing all your marketing tactics just because the startup next door is doing something. You don't need to kind of do it. You need to have a more of a long term vision and try to scale what really works. I think that's where some of the large enterprises really make a difference. If they have found a playbook that really works and resonates with the audience that they're going after, I think large enterprises find a way to scale that idea and replicate it in multiple countries and newer markets, so that they end up with a larger slice of the pie.
Yeah, that's couldn't agree more about the basics, and also that constant tweaking or changing that startups tend to do, and you definitely need the longer term view. I think what also was interesting to kind of take us on yet another tangent, maybe on this call, and what interested me when we first met and chatted about doing this episode was your ecosystem view, because a lot of especially startups, but even larger organizations, a lot of the demand gen is direct. It's for the direct sales team. But your ecosystem view is interesting in perspective. And I want to kind of go down that path because I know you also look at it not just in terms of channel partners, which a lot of people think about immediately, but you also mentioned, working with competition, which is a whole different can of worms, I can imagine. So, walk me through how you see the ecosystem from channel partners to competitors and others, partners, come into play when we talk demand gen.
Yeah, great question again, and I agree. It's getting more and more serious now. I think I think I love channel, right? I was a little late in my introduction to the channel space, but I think now that I am in the right in the middle of it. I think I really enjoy working with our partners, working with our distributors to kind of amplify our messaging. And if I were to just back up a little bit and think about how complex the tech landscape is, and kind of zoom in on one particular organization, for example, any mid-sized company has a minimum of 40 to 50 plus tech products in their tech stack. And this is just a mid-sized company. Forget about the large banks and the manufacturing units and the retail giants, right? Their tech stack is extremely complex. For you to think that the right way to approach this particular complex tech stack mid-sized company with just your sales organization, I think is the easiest way to fail. You need to understand that your market reach can be much more amplified with a broader set of partners who are looking at not just making their margins, but also selling your product along the way as well, product or solution along the way as well. So I think partners really bring in that X factor into your sales outreach and demand gen efforts. They could have a better price point or a proposition to a prospect, or they could layer in some additional services which the prospect really likes, which our organization probably is not in a position to kind of present to them, right? So I think that is one thing that I would like to highlight, which is the X factor that a partner brings. Second, I think also access to the market, right? So let's assume an organization has 10 salesmen who are focusing on a particular territory. What about all the other territory where there are potential prospects? So you need additional boots on the ground, and those boots on the ground are basically your partners. Your partners have a wider or a broader reach to the market, and they can penetrate into those tier 2, tier 3 cities which might not even be in your overall territory, right? So that is one. I think I initially spoke about buying patterns, but if you also look at tech selling from a seller's perspective, also there is a massive shift that we are seeing throughout the last few years. I think more organizations and tech enterprises are focused on co-creation versus competition, right? They want to co-sell with you as opposed to competing with you, because like I said when I started this point, the tech stacks are extremely complex. So for you to assume that one solution from one particular organization is going to solve all the challenges that this organization has, it's impossible, right? So you need to think about it from a co-selling perspective as opposed to trying to compete with your other whoever's to your right or your left, right? So that's where I think the value of ecosystem and channels go to market strategies are extremely important, not just for a large enterprise but also for a mid-size and a startup. They need to really get their channel game right.
Makes a lot of sense, Santosh. I especially connected this response to one of your previous ones where you talk about having, you said boots on the ground here, but extending your ability to sell, especially in cultures or places where the person-to-person relationship is that much more important. Which, if I'm being honest, where we are, I think we've lost some of that over the last, as tech exploded. It's sometimes even hard to get, like, we're in a room together today.
Wow.
That doesn't happen as often as it used to. Let's put it that way. So I really like that point about extending your boots on the ground through your partners, and that would help you sell in those environments where the connection, the human-to-human connection is that much more important. That makes a lot of sense. But I'm going to transition now to, I think this is the big question.
The big one.
I think
really?
this is the big one, because I don't know, you're probably aware of this already, Santosh. You're not allowed to have a technology marketing discussion today without one acronym, and that acronym is AI. And we would be canceled if we didn't use that acronym in this podcast. So my question is, because you've done the startups, you're at a Fortune 50, you've probably seen how it's done in both places. How is the AI story different, considering the news and social media are full of everyone claiming these massive gains, these massive changes in AI and their efficiency and their processes? Do you see, is the story the same inside the walls of a Fortune 50 where they can actually build, develop, and work on AIs and have massive teams on it? Or is it tougher inside a Fortune 50 to adapt on the fly and be as nimble as these little startups who are trying new things every day with it and launching new things and making a splash in the press. What do you think? Who has the edge in AI? Is it Fortune 50s with their might and their money and their teams and their power, or is it nimble startups? Who's got the edge in AI from your perspective?
Yeah, very very loaded question, and I'll have to
Yeah,
gravitate towards the organization that I work for, who's given me this beautiful mug, right?
sure.
But seriously, I think great question, and the honest truth is, if you're in the tech space and you're not using AI today, right, I think you should be ready to be out of your job in the next 2 years, right? As as simple as that. Because forget about blue collar jobs. If you're in a tech industry, you better be using AI. If you look at my phone right now, I think I have at least 10 different AI apps which I use for different purposes, both from a personal front and also from a professional front, right? So I think AI is extremely important for you to adopt, and you definitely need to be skilled on using the right prompt. They call it prompt engineering, but I'll just say prompting, right? And to answer one of your very nuanced questions, how does it look within the walls? I think, right, from IBM perspective, I think we are an AI and hybrid cloud organization right now, and rightly so. We drink our own champagne that we are making. We are very strong adopters of AI. Just last year, we did about 6 billion plus of AI revenue, and a lot of those use cases and ideas basically came from an initiative that we did here in IBM, which is called as client zero. Right, we consider ourselves as a client zero before we actually take our AI solutions out there in the market. Right, so we have built use cases not just across all the functions: HR, you talk about sales and marketing, you talk about procurement, you talk about the developer community. All of them go through this cool crowdsourcing project that we do semi annually, and we all pool in all our suggestions on how we can make this work better. And there's like a voting mechanism, and the best ideas are picked, and we invest time and resources in making sure that that problem is firstly solved using AI, and then we think whether can this be monetized, right? And most often than not, if there is a challenge in a company like IBM, there is also a problem in a company in another organization who's competing with IBM, right? So we might as well package it and sell it, right? So I think from that standpoint, I like the direction we are taking with when it comes to AI and how we are going about building the future of tomorrow. I think even if you look at startups today, I think they use a lot more of free tools as opposed to custom tools. There is a differentiation out there in the market, which is around AI for consumers versus AI for business. I think the consumer AI is what is really taken off thanks to folks like ChatGPT, for example. But I think when you think of AI for business, there's a lot more Uh, data points, and the quality of the inputs that you're providing into your LLM models really comes into play. So I think the way you need to look at consumer AI is very different from how you would probably look at AI for business. So I think if you are selling to a tech buyer, I think AI for business is the right way to go, because you need to be able to trust the model is trained on data that uh, you can really trust, and there needs to be some sort of governance to these LLMs as well. Otherwise, it's just going to prompt something, you're going to assume that it's the right prompt and go ahead with the judgment, and it might or might not be the right judgment that you're making, right? So I would lean towards using LLMs which you can actually trust, and models that are built for your particular use cases.
Yeah, fair enough. Nobody wants to build a marketing plan based on a hallucination. But I think we can all agree that the last people that will be replaced by AI are podcast hosts.
Are you sure?
That seems obvious to me. I think we have got time for one more, Brendan.
Yeah, I mean, and we could probably ask 20 more on the AI topic, so maybe we'll have to try and get Santosh to squeeze us into his schedule one more time.
We could do an episode in Bangalore.
yeah, that may have been simpler than building a pub in retrospect.
Yeah.
I do want to just stop on one thing, and maybe this is the localization point live on our podcast. So Santosh said, we drink our own champagne.
Yes.
Which sounds a lot better than eating your own dog food,
or
which
Kool-Aid.
is the expression I would use.
Yeah,
so, I gotta remember that one. Cause eat your own dog food just doesn't sound good now.
And we can
to
probably
that one.
bill more if we're using champagne instead of dog food.
That's true. And you're right. We do have one more question for you, Santosh, and we did save the hardest one to last, as promised. And this is why no guests ever come back, I think.
No repeat guests.
Yeah. Well, Santosh, here's your chance to answer the tough question and come back. So you've done this for a while, and I'm sure you've seen things, you've tried things, you've learned from your mistakes. So we're going to ask you, what's the one challenge in demand gen? What's the one thing you've done that maybe flopped, didn't go as well as you had hoped? And what did you learn from that? So, kind of from your own experiences, what's that one thing you wish you could do over, and here's what you learned from it?
Yeah, I just need to look through 1 TB of data, maybe the number of done wrong in my career. But yeah, I think one thing definitely pops up to my mind, and it's got nothing to do with demand gen or marketing in essence. I think it's got to do with organizational alignment and change management, right? Because see, there was this one time in a startup where I had this bright idea that we had to do ABM and not regular marketing in this particular organization, because to be honest, they had 95% of their revenue coming from about 60 clients. And when I joined the organization, it was kind of a no brainer. I'm not going to do traditional marketing. I'm not going to spend a lot of money on digital marketing and broad brush tactics, which the company used to be doing. But I think we need to be a lot more deliberate and focused on our efforts, and whatever limited resources we have, we should invest in cross-selling and upselling to these clients, and just getting a larger wallet share from those customers, right? So and the way it worked in the startup, it was a funded startup, which funded startup means there is a board involved in every single dollar that you're going to spend. So there was this very fancy location. There was a board meeting happening, and I had prepared for this presentation for close to about 2 to 3 weeks, and I had every single data point to the dot, and I went and pitched my idea to the board, right? And it is a pretty daunting task to talk to the board, by the way. There are people who are in your favor, there are people who just want to oppose you for the heck of it. Right? So here I am. This is a reason why we need to do ABM strategy. I've done all this analysis, and if we follow this approach when it comes to marketing, this is the outcome that you're going to see. And the first thing that one of the board members said is, no, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to fund you. I'm not going to give you the money. And I asked why. Because this idea is not proven. It's just you telling me that this works. uh, and you said traditional marketing, and I'm a traditional person. I believe in traditional marketing. I don't think your idea is going to fly, right? So, and I was obviously crestfallen,
Yeah.
wondering what I did wrong. Did my 2 to 3 weeks of prep work all go in vain? But luckily, I had a couple of other folks in the audience who really understood what I was trying to say, the sales leader and the delivery head, because they were trying to pitch this particular idea for quite some time, and it didn't fly. So all three of us got together, we huddled, we ran a pilot on a shoestring budget. We just scurried through some budget here and there, and we bought a tool, we engaged an agency, we started doing proper ABM strategy, and this board meets on a monthly basis. So the next meeting, I was there again in front of them, and I showed them that, hey, this is a 1 month pilot, and this is the outcome that we saw. We have reached X number of decision makers. We have moved the conversation of this particular opportunity to this stage, and I think it really works. And to answer your question, traditional marketing is great, but I think the way this company needs to go is account-based marketing, right? So, and I think that was received in a better way than a blanket no. And I think one of the key lessons that I got out of it is I think you need to first run a pilot and you need to test your theory before putting a bold idea out there in front of a board or any senior in your organization. So for all the marketers who are listening, I think test out your ideas. Testing is not a bad idea at all, and run small pilots in whatever limited budget you have before trying to change the world and change the way your organization approaches marketing. Right? Is that a fair answer, Brandon?
That's a great answer.
Yeah.
I feel like I've been in some of those rooms.
Yeah, I love the pilot, and I love the fact that you just went ahead and did it, even though the board told you not to.
That's good. That's really good.
But that was great. Yeah, I mean, thanks a lot, Santosh, for taking time from your busy schedule and joining us. And I mean, I was serious about having you back, at least on the AI conversation, but now I want to have you back on the ABM one too, and the localization one, and the maybe I should stop. I'm scaring them.
You might need to do a number of episodes. Yeah, I'm going to pass on my thanks as well. I know the schedules are very different, and you're actually sacrificing some of your Friday evening right now for this. So thank you so much for that. I also want to point out to our listeners that this guy, Santosh, is not just an incredibly hardworking tech dude. He's actually got a very happening, awesome, beautiful family with him in Bangalore. He's a family man. And one of the reasons Brendan and I are not drinking beer today is Santosh kind of makes us look bad because he's also a gym guy and a boxer and a health guy. So I'm like, well, I got to drink coffee instead of beer if I'm going to have Santosh on.
So we built a pub, named it the B2B Marketing Pint, and now you're saying we should stop drinking.
And now we're drinking coffee. Yeah. So the best laid plans. So thank you so much. Please extend our thanks and appreciation to your family for sharing you on a Friday evening. And of course, I expect tons and tons of fan mail from both of our listeners.
Awesome. It was a pleasure to talk to both of you. I love the banter in between all the serious questions as well. So I look forward to meeting you at some point, hopefully somewhere midway from Ottawa and Bangalore.
Sounds like Iceland.
Oh, I want to go to Iceland.
Okay.
All right. Next location, next episode. All right. Awesome. Thanks a lot, Santosh.
You take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Hey, folks, if you liked that episode, you won't believe the next one.
So don't forget to subscribe on your favorite platform and you won't miss out.
Or if you've got an idea we haven't thought of yet, hit us up in the comments. We'll cover that too.